So I'm here with Gyuri, and your software is called.
Well, trail marks is the smallest little thing. Yes,
Okay.
trail marks is the note-taking app or whatever. Yeah, which is
So,
just the tip of the iceberg. And then Trail Hub is the infrastructure. Yeah.
so tell me what problem you're trying to solve or what issue you're trying to work on.
Well, I mean the age-old issue of personal knowledge management, sense making.
Okay.
So whatever that, it's there's so many names, but it's really harking back to the original. Actually, I've been working on this even before I learned about it. This is really the augmenting the personal effectiveness of the individual. That's the original
Okay.
Angabatian vision. So
Okay.
that's the goal, and the unique thing about it is that. In one sentence, that it's a kind of framework where you don't only try to organize knowledge, but the very means by which you create and organize knowledge. So
Mhm.
it's going method to begin with. It's bootstrapping. It's basically recognizing the idea that not only knowledge is unbounded, but the means of and adjacent. So as you expand your knowledge, you see more and more opportunities and more you don't know. But interestingly, the more capabilities you develop to manage the knowledge, the more adjacent capabilities becomes within reach. And
Mhm.
the key is really to harness this improving the improvement process itself and baked right into the architecture and the framework. That's really the shortest that I can come up with. So
Okay.
it's
And
basically
what exactly about individual knowledge are what are you tackling? Because I am getting very confused with all of this software between, mimics and hypothesis and all of these things. Can you just give me
well,
an
it's
overview
basically
of.
it's basically gives you a single place where you can keep privately and then own your content and then share it. But basically, it's already built to be interoperable with all the other things. So it is interoperable with Hypothesis and Memex. Hypothesis because although it does have interpersonal interoperability capabilities
Mhm.
also baked in, but at the moment, as I bootstrap, the one that I'm using is the personal thing, so that you can actually and the ultimate goal is that this is really a kind of individual personal knowledge management which naturally grows into a collective intelligence. So the path is open. And not only that, but the knowledge you manage is not just taking notes, but these notes can grow into articles, can grow into books, and go into collaborative knowledge repositories. Yes, a natural progression, and everything for that is into place. But the hypothesis is, I rely on hypothesis because hypothesis is great because it basically gives you high resolution addressability of anything you find interesting on the web. And
Mhm.
as soon as you annotate it and comment it, you actually create an opportunity for other people finding you. So it's really already building a social knowledge network. The
Mhm.
difference is that in the social knowledge network, your contribution is yours, and you share. You share to whoever and whatever depths you want. So
Mhm.
that really reversing this thing. So it's really changing the whole game. So,
Okay.
so, so,
So.
that, so in fact, trail marks originally was basically a graph-based Memex, or very much like what Memex does now,
Okay.
privately, and it was a browser extension just the same way as Memex is.
Mhm.
And at that point, I faced the issue: so how on earth are you going to sell a Chrome extension? I perhaps should have persevered because alternatives after sort of 2-3 years grow into millions of users. But I was more interested in the meta level problem. So I wasn't just interested in delivering something like Memex, which does this thing, but I wanted to create the entire architecture and the entire kernel for knowledge management. In fact, I've been working on this under the name of personalized knowledge augmentation engine for the past 10 years, really.
Okay.
And this is,
So is there any other product out there that does what you do? And it seems like there are a lot of note-taking products. How is this different?
well, I think there are a few, like Tiddlywiki is a good example, which basically it is completely private. So there
Mhm.
are some private. What I haven't seen. This is actually I'm not. I just be looking at Dig Life, and they talk about the need for a note-taking app, and I should take all the boxes that they want, and they claim that there is no such thing. Okay,
And they
so
claim what?
they claim that that they didn't find anything on the market which does it, because it's at the same time. I mean, there are fantastic things like Coda, and there are lots of good solutions, but they are all centralized. And
Okay.
the very idea of centralizing knowledge is anathema. You do need to be able to federate and create communities which are sort of centrally pooling knowledge,
Hmm.
but it shouldn't be a global. And you certainly should own your knowledge. It's
Hmm.
really going back, as you read in the summary, it's going back to Tedner's original vision of bidirectional link, actually in my case, meaningful, so like semantic links, and at the same time, content creators should own and control their creation.
Hmm.
And not now, but basically, it's not even the case that with blockchain and cryptocurrencies, but actually, if you think about it properly, knowledge itself is a currency, or it's valuable in itself, and it has this interesting feature: the more you create, the more valuable individual piece become. So the
Hmm.
network effect doesn't benefit those who control the network, but benefit the participants.
And how are you reading? How did you find out about Dick Life? Does that have something to do with me or?
Dig Life was that when you connected, and
Mhm.
I commented on Twitter or said something on Twitter, and Dig Life, Christina, the Earthling, liked it. And then I just went to Dig Life. Oh, wow. I mean, this is exactly a dream come true, because I knew all along, this is sort of really 15 years of plan, that if you get the personal knowledge management right, in the sense that it is open to collective intelligence,
Uh-huh.
then people will come. Because and certainly last couple of years, last 4 years, really, the decentralized web and all that interesting, there is a resurgence of collective intelligence. You are yourself a beautiful example of that.
So is your software ready to go? Like, can it actually be used, or is it in development,
Well,
or what is?
it's been in person. I'll be using it for 10 months. I think it really could be sort of get to an alpha stage when somebody else can use it in a month, so or even less. In fact, if you're brave enough, you can try it, use it as is. But
Okay.
the beauty of it is that this is really not just the trail marks bit, but the trail hub bit is that the 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 key is not just autonomy, privacy, and dignity, as
Mhm.
Dig Life or the digital life people say very rightly, but the key is interoperability. This architecture and
Okay.
this framework is built to create interoperability. And it really does the same thing that Solid does, which is basically decoupling the data from the application.
Okay.
But it's actually it's very similar in spirit, except that the graph model that I have behind is much more powerful. So in fact, the smallest subset is RDF compatible, but is much more powerful.
So, Oliver from Memex is actually leading the interoperability charge. Um, and he put in an application for a grant, an EU, a major EU grant. So,
Yes, I mean, I've been following Memex. I've been using Memex. I intend to contact them at the right time.
mhm.
The point with the interoperability is that their software, the whole architecture, really needs to be bootstrappable and interoperable at that level. So I try to make sense of, and this is not therefore this is the going way things are at the moment, that React or any of the frameworks, Java web platforms are really hopelessly complicated.
Do you,
So,
have
so
you have you heard of Storex?
yes, of course I have.
Okay.
Even
Okay.
Storex is too complex. There is no need for that complexity. And how do you be able to prove that? The very idea that you create schemas is obsolete, because the whole point is within mind graph, it's called the underlying model. You articulate your ideas, and they are the schema. So it's sort of emergence. You know, it's not something your articulation turns into a schema. So there's a universal graph model which is actually emergently and incrementally. The more refined you are, the more precise it becomes. So those schemas that you see in Storex are really redundant. That comes because you separate your idea of how you're going to manipulate what the meaning of your knowledge from the storage. So you really create a storage to capture that meaning. I tell you the other way around. You articulate the meaning that you're dealing with, and that creates that. So there's a universal way of handling this. So the whole idea of schema management, the whole idea of even back-end programming becomes completely obsolete. You don't need that at all. I know it sounds very
I have no
revolutionary.
idea what you're talking about, but
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
intrigued, and it seems very important.
It is, and the most important thing is that in the personal knowledge management space, there is a one size fits all solution.
Okay.
There's one way to do it, which becomes interoperable and satisfy all the requirements that you know, privacy, security, everything,
And does
availability.
everyone know this, or mainly just you?
What do you mean? No, everyone.
Is this like a something that is
No, you can't Google it.
Or is it something that
I built, yes.
Okay, so this is an idea that you have come up with, and this is the puzzle piece that you're bringing to the table.
Well, I mean, there are part of this puzzle are articulated, like the ink and switch, the local first idea is articulated. Solid represents a very similar vision. So it's not that is unheard of. In fact, I've seen Tim Berners-Lee made an experiment to articulate the entire application in RDF. And it's clearly painful. You know, if you the whole story that led to it is all about intellectual manageability. The way we program, the way we do things. If you don't think about the user needing a simple mental model, then your program will be junk. And that's the last thing people consider. Right. I mean, designers try to track that by the time it gets encoded in programs, it's completely ruined and lost. So really, so the whole journey is all about intellectual manageability. In fact, I started out reinventing Engelbart's work and these teams' work in my thesis, which I called it language-oriented programming. In fact, the top-down parsing language that I used was the very same thing that driven their system in their command language. But I only discovered that 35 years later. But the point of that, and why they were successful, is precisely because they built a system where intellectual manageability was the key.
Who?
Douglas Engelbart, you know, the mother of all demos and all that.
Yeah. I know Douglas Engelbart, but what was effective? What was built that you're
they had a command language interpreter at the core of their system. They had a grammar to capture the user
what
interaction. What
system was this?
That's the one. That's the an online system. The one that they demoed in '68.
The mother of all demos.
The mother of all demos was. They were able to do that precisely because at its very heart of it, they built a kernel with intellectual manageability baked in. Now that's exactly what I'm reinventing, if you like, or trying to do it on the web. with web technology, which is much more difficult because they didn't have these layers of layers. They could go right to the metal, so they had an easier task. But in any case, so that's the key idea, that it's intellectual manageability. And then my thesis was called Language-Oriented Programming in Metalism. And 20, 30 years later, I realized the problem is with programming. The very idea of programming is a big, big mistake.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's really articulation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So do you wanna show me what you're working on? Will you show me the software?
Well, I could, but it just yeah. Okay, I'll show you a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, do you know how to screen share and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong one. It is share. No. Okay, I went to full screen, which is yeah. I think I got his shares. It just didn't respond first. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is really live. This is what I've been doing last few days. So basically, anything that I encounter on the web, I create a dot, and and because it's Visivik HTML editor, so you can just copy paste things. And sometimes I say this is really an aspect of onboarding on Big Life. So it's really building a graph model behind the scenes by this simply device of adding these things. So whenever I save a resource, if I can link it to about Big Life, and of course Big Life is a node or a dot in this system, and so that really is what I'm using. So if you give you an oh sorry. This is bring it over here. Okay, you recording this because I still see you there.
Yeah, I'm recording.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. So let's just go here and go somewhere I haven't been before. Try to find something. Won't be easy, but so I haven't clicked on that one. So you say I'm here. Sorry, I moved this over here so you can see what's happening there.
Okay.
So I just say this. There are several versions, but anyhow, so that I just click on this this bookmarklet, and if you go back, sorry, this is a bit clumsy, but basically this is where I am. So typically, what I do, I get hypothesis loaded. Unfortunately, because I'm in Brave, I have to log in every time. I haven't resolved that, but I'm using Brave nowadays.
Okay.
Okay, so just to show, if I highlight this and say annotate, I just put something for myself. Just a keyword that's significant. So I've done that, and basically, if I could come here back here, you can see. Just make it bigger. That it created this node. Okay, so that's part of my knowledge graph, and of course, the other thing is if that's the hypothesis integration. So if I say, well, let's just say search for BLAS. Interesting. It should have worked, but yeah. Okay. Yes, BLAS wasn't in that record. Okay.
Okay.
But so you can see that I got full integration with the hypothesis. So that really means that I can find any resource by whatever hypothesis stores about it, and I can do the same thing with MEMX. So that's really what I do in terms of research.
I'm sorry, can you explain to me again how it, I'm sorry, I'm just not getting it, how it interfaces, like what happens in your program and what happens in hypothesis or
Well,
MEMX?
hypothesis, this is the only thing that happens in hypothesis. In hypothesis, when you make an annotation, it puts that annotation into your own account and stores it in hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
And on the MindGraph side, I really got use their API. So I just search and turn these annotations into a MindGraph node, so I can actually work with it within my own system. And actually, it
Okay,
goes.
I'm so sorry. I didn't get what you just said. I am so sorry. I'm
Yeah.
really
Okay.
trying to understand.
Well, so what's happening is that if I want to, what I'm saying is that I can run a search and do it programmatically to search hypotheses for my own annotations, and also I can take any of these annotation links. So if I just go back there and take this again. So this is when I'm editing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can copy this link into my note on that page.
But wait, why? If I can just do it on a hypothesis, why?
It's because then next time you just work in your own knowledge base, if you like, a knowledge graph or scrapbox or whatever you like to call it, or trail marks, and you can get back this. You can get your hypothesis annotation that you added to that page. So you basically, that really means that it's you get to the right annotation from your own context automatically. So that's the whole point of it. That it
What?
basically.
I'm sorry, I didn't. I'm. Please bear with me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm kind of unclear too of what hypothesis does and how it's different from MEMX, and then how like it.
Well, the difference between hypothesis and the MEMX is the following. When you hypothesis operates a central server, so every annotation, you have an account on hypothesis, and all these annotations and all your activity, if you can look at it within hypothesis.
Okay.
So if you go to hypothesis, if you go there, because I'm logged in, you can see all my annotations that I ever made for the last year or so. Now, all that data is stored in hypothesis, on hypothesis server, which, because I'm really using hypothesis as a sort of way of connecting to other people, that's okay. But I want my contributions to be available to me as well. Okay, so with the interaction with my hypothesis integration through the API actually imports the annotation that I put into hypothesis to make it part of my world, so I can use it in my own graph.
Okay, so that.
And Memex is different because Memex doesn't operate a central server. Memex is like me, like my system is sort of local first. So it basically stores it in Storex in your browser, all the information. And it does a beautiful thing because it also does every page you ever seen. It actually does a full text index. So if you just remember any word, let's say interoperability, it will find all the pages that mention that has anything to do with that. Okay.
Okay.
And that's amazing, really. So so Memex does two things. Not only does it stores all your annotations locally, but it also indexes all the pages you ever see. Well, you can control what pages it does, but essentially it does that. So it's a different model. Now the problem with Memex has the other difficulty. It would have the difficulty of actually sharing, because they really they don't really want to operate a central server. Now, my TrailHub, this architecture that I'm building, solves that problem for them, because it basically I'm capable of creating a decentralized social gossip knowledge network where every contributor, everybody owns their data. I don't have to operate a central server, which may cost me $1 million or $1 per each user, you know. But at the same time, and people can interoperate. You know, that's possible. So you can actually send a message to somebody you actually know. You either follow them or they followed you. It's just very much like Scuttlebutt, sort of gossip network. So if you established or they found you and then requested to connect to you, that's fine. Then they can request any data from you that they discovered through publicly distributed registers, which are also are really on RPFS. So that's a difference. But the point is, once they discovered you, they can connect you to you and get whatever information they know that you have, because basically what you share this sort of skeleton or the node structure. You can make that discoverable, but you don't really give away all your content, because these are just, if you like, the content stable that you share, and then they should come to you to get the real.
What is it called? RPFS?
IPFS, the Interplanetary File System.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, sure.
So basically, so to Memex, TrailMax and TrailHub solves the problem, which is on their to-do list. So I definitely should get in touch with them, because I can help them there. Is to how you can, okay, once you got this person knowledge management thing, how you go to the sharing thing, and also with the other way around. TrailHub and TrailMax could integrate with Hypothesis and give them the privacy and the data sovereignty that make it optional. So instead, in fact, in Hypothesis, it is a difficulty, because if you don't, obviously, you don't want all the annotations to be public. So that's why Hypothesis allows you to create a private collection of annotations. So you can't do that on such a page. Okay, let's go back to you. So you see, you can share publicly if you log in. Then you can create separate sort of topics or separate threads.
This is on Hypothesis?
This is this one here is Hypothesis.
Okay.
And interesting. It looks like it's either not recognizing me or not accepting my. Oh, it's probably Brave. this may be, yeah,
Okay.
it's brave blocking. So I want to remove all the blocks. I don't normally use. It's changed. Before Memex, I actually used these things to create private annotations. I don't know why I can't access them now. But once I got Memex, I only use the public annotations. So anything that I want to annotate privately, I do it in Memex, and anything that I want to share outright, I do it in. Do it in hypothesis. And of course, the idea is that I want really to be interested. This is the other thing. I'm not planning to take over the world, because yeah, all these one solutions are really good and valid. So you just really you want to be able to interoperate with these things. So of course, the simplest form of interoperability, if this is why hypothesis and others, but if there's a publicly available API, then you can do the interoperability by using that API and just convert whatever information is there into mind graph, into this universal data format. And once you do that, because the data format itself describe its own meaning, if you like, because it is built like that, without a separate schema. It's an emergent schema. Therefore, you can actually reuse and repurpose whatever data is there. You may have obtained some complexity of data from some source for one specific purpose, but and the data is organized along the edges in this graph, but you can assign arbitrarily new alternative interpretations to those structures. So that's where the interoperability and reusability comes in. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't quite prepared for a demo today. I didn't think
thank you for doing that. You want to stop sharing your screen so I can see you?
And of course, if you're still doing some demo, as I say, I'm not. Sorry? Okay, I lost the internet connection, it seems. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm already, yeah.
Okay, I'm just showing you a couple of things which are sort of all the things I built, which is, as I said, Trailmax is just the very tip of the iceberg. So this is really mind graph, which is basically the underlying graph mechanism. Here you can actually edit it, and this is a full editor and everything. You can show all the outlinks, and I don't want to demo it, but yeah, okay, might as well. So you can just say edit. So this is very much like Kumu or many other things. So that really is something I built years ago, and my ultimate goal was not just to build something which does something with graphs, but really knowing that with the graph you can actually have this bootstrapability and meta designability and extensibility and interoperability and uniformity of data and separation of data from the application. That's what I was building towards. And of course, the other thing which is perhaps I'm not running it. That may well be. You got to bear with me. I didn't. Oh, it's running. That's good. So this is again something I built 2 years ago. It was just part of the prototyping, and actually I had worked with Hub Science, and they wanted to have that, but okay, let's search for so this is really, I rather search for TED. So this is searching in Wikidata. Okay, anyhow, we got that. And maybe may have some connection problems. What's going on here? It's okay. Something is wrong with the internet here at the moment. It's not working. Oh, it does now. Okay. But why doesn't it? I mean, maybe that the ratings is still okay. I know what's going on. Yeah, don't have this server running. That's what it is. No, it is already running. So, you know. Anyhow, very frustrating, of course. Always works. Okay. So I stop sharing because it's obviously something is wrong here.
Okay, so we're going to
just my profile. We just connected this morning, so
okay.
You should be able to find it.
Okay, let me see. Maybe under my network. Okay, here we go. Okay, where should I click?
Sorry?
Where should I click on what I'm
Well,
going to...
activities. There should be some activities somewhere at the bottom, and you can look at my posts.
Okay, activity. Okay.
Yeah. And then if you go to posts.
Okay.
And just scroll down. Okay, that's the first one. It went 2019 posts. In the first post was okay.
This one?
Yes. If you open that one.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the personal research knowledge graph link.
Okay. These look like interesting links.
Yeah. So this is the first. This is 5-6 years ago. This is something where that was Freebase, and it was for the linked up challenge to do personal knowledge research knowledge graph anchored in Freebase linked data, and we submitted it, and people in those days they didn't understand what does knowledge graphs got to do with linked data. 5 years later, everybody recognizes that the whole entire linked open data is just a global giant knowledge graph. Okay, I'm just trying to show you. If you can look at these links, and it's got all these demos. So going back, but that was a long time ago, and
okay.
So yeah, I mean, this is why I actually prepared that list. So if you
okay, so that looks like a great list.
And so you got quite a few demos. I may go back and mark the things that are actually demos. So that's why I really should. It was okay to show trail marks because that's new and in developing.
Mm-hmm.
But it really gives you some idea about it, and this is important. The knowledge graph is important because there are in the linked data and other ways the idea of building a collective intelligence and social knowledge network is that that, as I think somebody, Big Life was saying exactly that, that you actually discover people through shared interest. I mean, Google Plus, I mean, the Trailmax was built to launch with Google Plus, saying, okay, here is Google Plus. It gives you an interest-based social knowledge network. Okay, it gives you the kind of sort of Twitter-like posts and things. But if you can then latch into it in a way that all your content you control, you build, and occasionally post to Google Plus. That was the original business plan. But then, of course, Google Plus was turned off. Now, this is it. Next, you never do that. It is no point trusting centralized servers because they will just go. And the whole point of knowledge management is we're really digging ourselves a grave by not considering lifelong access to your knowledge.
Okay.
If you don't own your knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
you get a frontal. I lost 2 years of careful work. Well, didn't quite lost it because most of it I did it with a paying account which hasn't been shut down. Okay, so I actually paid $5 a month so that I have actually more than that. But anyhow, I paid for I got a paid account, so that hasn't been lost. But the opportunity to build looks like Google giving up on an interest-based social knowledge network. So the Trailmax and TrailHub can be really the hub, the building blocks to build an emergent interest-based social knowledge network, where it is very critical that the entities you talk about, anything you create in Trailmax, first it checks, is this thing known in Wikidata or any other source? If it is, let's import, or actually that the one that I didn't have to show is really enable you to pick the bits that you care about, make it part of your knowledge graph and build around it. So, and that way, if you do that, then it acts like hypothesis in the sense that you can leave, you can then advertise that fact that you link to that entity. So anybody looking at that other entity, say Ted Nelson or whatever it is, they can immediately discover, if they want, who else is interested in that topic. And because it is decentralized, there is no scalability issue.
Okay. And does it allow you to build up links and tags so that it knows? I mean, one problem is people, they use different words for things.
Yeah, now that's the real thing. It's a very good question. The point is that the problem with the single version of truth vision that is realized in the semantic web and everywhere is that before you can say anything, you have to be very precise about how you name your links. Okay?
Yeah.
And you spend literally 100 page worth of discussion coming up with one specific that we all agree on. It's all wrong. Should be the other way around. You write as you create a link. You give the name that you have in mind and leave it to analytic processes in the community, or create discussions when you can just say it's same as. It's like Maria Popova of Brain Picking says, well, I always forget which way it is. Yes, man talks about journals, women talks about diary. Now, you shouldn't be forced to tag something as diary or as journal when you really think of it as diary. Of course, anything, once you made explicit, you use a word in a context, in a given way, then the real task is to do the mapping. But it shouldn't block your articulation. So that's the whole point. And this is exactly like Engelbart did 60 years ago, 50 years ago. They realized that the real value of what you're doing are in the connections. There's a beautiful quote from Ames, that everything is deeply, eventually everything connects. People, objects, things, ideas connect. and the quality is in the connections. So the sort of the, if you like, the ontology, if you like, of your personal ontology of the things that you have to organize your personal knowledge is your most valuable thing, and that of course you can reuse and define, and also share, and that's where hyperknowledge and other things we are also involved in is really thinking about how ontology, let's call it ontology, ontologies can emerge, can evolve, co-evolve, and be merged. But that's the point of, that's really where collective intelligence is. Yeah.
Oh, here, let me try to.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, that is so, that noise is just awful. Hang on, let me just.
Yeah, please do, please do.
Okay, sorry about that. So, what advice do you have to give me? I am trying to basically there are a bunch of different communities and they have different knowledge repositories. And I personally, do you know Doug Engelbart?
Yeah.
And okay, well, Doug Engelbart and all of these other guys like Vince Cerf and
I know. I'm in the Duck 50 community and everything, so I know.
Okay, well, I'm explaining myself as this.
Yeah.
So the reason why they all know each other and built up such an amazing community, that like a kind of a salon that produced so much prolific work, is because they got to know each other through socially through this woman called Betsy Burroughs.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and so she kind of held a salon, and I think it was something like once a month religiously, where all of these guys were getting together and talking and building on each other's knowledge. And so while you are studying Engelbart's ideas, what I'm trying to do is the Betsy thing and create the social space for people to get together and talk. And that's when you create the amazing thing. So it's like a lot of people working kind of by themselves or with a few people, but there are all these other people in the wider network who they're not connecting with. And so what I'm trying to do is do what Betsy did and scale it by using multiple Betsies who are in trying to take what she does and put some science behind it, this network weaving, this kind of like intuitive picking of people and putting them together and inviting them in and making it inclusive and doing the social work necessary to get people together and make them feel welcome.
Yeah, I got that from the point, and also it's you really also been thinking about sort of workflows at that level. So to yeah. And no, so, I get that. Yeah.
So I am trying to figure out too, and it's so complex for me, is that how do we start? What is the practical flow in terms of this collective intelligence workflow that I've been talking about and trying to imagine? And I was just wondering, can you give me advice on how you think we can put that together?
Yeah. I mean,
what needs to happen to the knowledge?
No.
Putting together these different
I
and chats on Facebook and different places. How do we?
I'm glad you asked, because this is exactly what's been my goal for the last 15 years.
Okay.
Build the technology that facilitates that.
Okay.
And in a way, I had to wait so long because I noticed 5 years ago that the decentralized web was coming, and it's quite clear that it needs that.
Okay.
You cannot build this vision I called it Conceptipedia. I had a sort of cut down version. Forget about the social side, but at least the concepts that everybody use can be sort of collected. But now with the decentralized web, it is indeed possible to build this kind of social knowledge network. And the way I always envisaged, and I think it may work for you from your perspective, is that give people the kind of sort of personal knowledge management tools, which are ipso facto can grow into interpersonal knowledge through connections, but they can also make other people aware of what they're interested in, and then they can connect. And then you can have your betsies. Your betsies are what, when working with on hyper knowledge with Jack and Marc Antoine, what we are really sort of community servers. So, okay, although everybody is a hub to itself on the network, and they are freely interconnected, but they want to say, like you do, oh, I'm actually interested in the very notion of collective intelligence. So I join that Betsy or join that community, which carries the which says, well, you know, if you care about collective intelligence, then talk to us. And of course, like we already have. You already have a whole network of hubs dedicated to some aspect of that. So you can really build this fractal, this sort of holonic thing that you will have one people joining you and say, okay, yes, I'm really interested at the high level, because the way I envisage your work is that it's all about the high level, really the very social aspect and the support for that. And like Dig Life is all about, okay, let's focus on the infrastructure side. You're not so interested in building the infrastructure, you're interested in using it. And I'm interested in providing it, okay? But we need all of us, because what's the point of me building an infrastructure that nobody takes on? And what's the point of having an infrastructure if nobody makes use of it? So this is the way I envisage us. I really hope to work together with both of you in that sense. That I really think that I shouldn't say really again. I think, and I can demonstrate it in better ways if I prepared for that. That here really there is a core technology in bootstrapping. I'm already bootstrapping. I mean, I haven't shown you many things anyhow. So there's so much more to it than I care to show today. But the point is that I mean, give you a very, you're building a kind of
Oh, okay, then show me then.
Yes, it's yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is my favorite. So you can basically explore this, and then of course you have Douglas Engelbart connected to influenced by and all that. So this is really all from coming from Wikidata. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I just want to just do a little bit of exploration so that you you can see how all my heroes can be reached uh, in the graph. Okay, I just wanted to show you that. Now, of course, the idea is that I don't think it's working at the moment correctly, but yes. So you can actually just pick a few things from the graph from there and make it part of your mind graph, okay? And then do whatever you like inside. So that's what I call graph picking. And of course, if you do it in this
Oh, so you can use the wiki data. I just need to rephrase this so I even know that I'm getting it.
yes,
So you can use the wiki data to
knowledge graph, explore it visually, and
okay.
any bits that you care about, you can bring it into your graph. Yes, and
Oh,
the benefit of that is that if you link to anything brought in from Wikidata,
uh-huh.
you create it's like creating an annotation. It basically declaring that yes, I got something relevant to that entity in my world. Okay, so
Mhm.
this is how the social knowledge graph can grow. That anybody caring to look at something in the because basically what Wikidata, but any of these global knowledge, they really only deal with the notable things. Now,
Hang,
you as any
hang
sorry,
on just a second. Sorry. My daughter
that's
needs
fine.
a cup.
That's fine. That's fine.
Want this, sweetie? Okay, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry about that.
That's okay. And of course, the real beauty is that this idea of accessing somebody else's, it could be a graph that deals with only the notable things, but 90% of the things that you care about or any individual cares about are not notable. They may be notable in 20 years' time, okay? So really, this also enables people to share entire of their personal knowledge graph with each other. Let other people explore or make use of it, or have them organize their own knowledge. So that's a very generic mechanism which enable you to link people to ideas and knowledge.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So I'll
so
stop
we're
the
talking about
share.
the collective intelligence workflow. So you say start with the individual, and what
Yes.
are the essential elements, even if they're not using your software, how can an individual start to do things? Because right now, for what I'm doing, we're trying to start this without making anyone use a bunch of software and learn stuff. So we're trying to start off with a very easy learning curve, or the hardest thing
Yes.
for us
Yes.
is
That's exactly what I care about. Yes. I
okay.
mean, that's exactly, yeah.
So for Kiko Lab, what can we start doing just from the get-go of using your principles to start, getting our own knowledge graphs? And how can we start to do this on kind of a meta level so that people
Yeah. What we can start to do is, and I'll share the screen to show you this again. Hopefully, I can actually get to it. But this is something I did want to show you definitely. So the trouble is that it Zoom just blocking the very top of the thing. So okay, I close a few things because I can't see. But 43. Sorry. Yeah, okay, this is what I wanted to show.
Okay.
So there is this, this is your collaboratory, okay, which is basically, enable you to do, it is very much the same
Mm-hmm.
as this one. No, not this one, this one, not this one. Ah, oh, I can't log in on this browser. Okay, do it the other way around. And this is again, this is just like Jerry Mikulski. Okay. Okay. So this is a standard demo in it's called the real world example, which is really built to show off all the web development frameworks, okay, on the same level of application. This is the kind of thing that you have as well. It's basically allow you to create articles and let people follow each other. Now, I actually got this completely integrated with mine, so I can do. This one the original demo is working with some central database. I could turn it into work with Minecraft in a week. And basically, from then on, you can have this kind of the basic user experience that you already have, but have it in a way which actually, by construction, is interoperable and opens this way to this new decentralized world of managing knowledge. And that may be a worthwhile experiment, because then, of course, other people start doing this. Then anything they work with becomes ipso facto interoperable with the. So if you like, I envisage a network of spreading interoperability. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With the benefit of, and of course, that instead of at the moment here, you create your own, you can write articles, okay, but it could be the other way around. You could actually generate articles from your personal knowledge graph. So that opens up that possibility. And also,
I'm not understanding what you're telling me and showing me. And I'm
okay.
trying really hard, but I'm not getting it.
Yes. Okay.
I'm not sure what this is and what.
But this is sorry, I need to be in Chrome for this, because I only logged in from Chrome. You see, I'm trying to wean myself off Chrome, and that causes a lot of headache at the moment. Okay. What I'm trying to show you is that what you have here, I think, built with Wix, is exactly what I showed you on the other one. It's this conduit.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is that you could replace, in a way, drop-in replacement of the Wix edition, a similar capability, exactly the same. So you can create posts, and then and I don't know whether you do this yet, but you could actually get following, which you don't. Okay, but you can basically have that kind of framework where people have their own profiles, and they can create their. No, you do have posts. They can create posts and people can start following them.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is that there is this conduit application, which is, it looks like that, which is just demonstrating the frameworks. But what I'm saying is that I can build something like that and replace the backend, which would be a centralized server with basically Minecraft trail marks, so that you have you own your posts, okay,
Okay,
and it's,
from Wix or from Conduit?
sorry.
You'll build what from what? So people are doing what?
What I'm saying that what you have built with Wix can
Uh-huh.
be replaced, built with Trailhub
Okay.
in such a way that instead of using a centralized server,
Uh-huh.
it would have a decentralized model behind it, and you can actually start building this interpersonal knowledge network, which eventually can grow into this whole collective intelligence vision. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And I'm not understanding. What would people log into, and would they have to learn a software in order to do this?
Well, no, you don't have to learn anything. That's the very idea of login changes. Of course, you can still you as a community holder, you may want to retain your own login, but they can also link that login to their own self-administered or self-sovereign identity, which then facilitates the peer-to-peer communication. And so that's a sort of you can actually create a hybrid where I think it makes sense from your point of view and in community's point of view to at least know who are in that network. So they may have their own they may manage the identity of their users. But when the user comes to your system,
Mhm.
they can rely on their own self-managed identity and link the two together, which really results in the fact that although you may have a copy of their contribution in your own centralized server, but they actually okay. So
So
okay.
just trying to get um I'm not I so I don't I'm not understanding
Okay, to start again from your end.
okay.
At the moment, you get people signing up, and if they create posts, the system
Oh,
you're
I
using.
doubt I really doubt anyone is gonna log in to anything that I create. I doubt even people will do that.
Well,
Um,
I already done. I logged into your system.
yeah, you're the only one, and you'll probably be the only one. So
Okay.
I don't even know if they'll do that.
Okay. Then I got misled by whatever I encountered. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any faith that people are going to take the um so I think that what I can realistically get people to do is to have some chats um on Facebook or Telegram, and then have some roundtable discussions which are recorded and then transcribed. Uh, I don't, I don't know if I can inspire people to do anything more than that.
Okay. So you basically doing you are doing the mechanical turkey. You basically contacting people and making these things, and that's how you actually create things. Okay, now I
Yeah,
understand.
yes, because
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's extremely difficult to get people to actually log in and start conversing, and while you might be able to get some people to converse, say on a Facebook chat, if you put them in there together because they're already there. But getting people to go someplace new, unless there's an incredible amount already there, is
Okay, now I got misled by whatever I encountered on your side. Okay, that's okay. Now I understand. Yes, yes. But
so. So
yeah.
are there some principles that you know of that we can start? You know, there are different chats going on in different places. And we're trying to kind of bring that knowledge in one place. And I'm going to try to get some help, like some high school students. So some extra people who can kind of do this work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because trying to get people to have their own knowledge graphs or to, maybe if I can get high school students to try out some software, maybe. But right now, so we're just dealing with some chats and some roundtable discussions and trying to link up those and show people just the beginning of the power that can bring in the simplest way possible where they don't have to do much.
Okay.
So what do you
I
think
get
we
it.
can
Yeah.
do to, I'm just trying to kind of make people understand what is a collective intelligence flow. And what I've started doing, I put a knowledge repository in workflowy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, I will,
Yeah. Share the screen. Yeah.
yeah, hang on just a second. Let me load it up and then, okay, hang on just a second. Okay, so for example, notes from, okay, interviews with collective intelligence experts. So whenever I am doing an interview, I will, I have the video here, and then I have the notes, which don't look like they're linked from here.
Okay. Can just stop for a second?
Okay.
Now, everything you're doing here,
Uh-huh.
you can in a couple of weeks you can do it all in trail marks.
Okay.
The benefit of it would be not only that, okay, that of course you would have ownership of that, of your data,
Mm-hmm.
but the most important thing is that any part of whatever you have there, you will be able to share with anybody you care to share it with.
Okay.
And more than that, you could actually, and I will definitely show you next week. I promise you a demo.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually not only create sort of nested lists and all these things, but I mean, you can do this at a tenth of the price of what workflow charges. I created in Trailmarks over the last year something like 5,000 dots, which translates into 50,000 bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you can that really means that you can have this kind of capability better because you could actually articulate why you list, why you go from one place to another. So think about it in terms of, you don't just have a link, okay, now I go to some other part of my workflow infinite document, but you could actually articulate why, what's the meaning of that going there, okay? And so eventually you really build behind the scenes without anything more than what you used to now.
Mm-hmm.
With just very simple conventions like saying the word which signifies the way you want to connect dash and the target name. Okay, the same thing like here, and you end up with a knowledge graph which will behind the scenes, which really enables you to to automatically bring together whatever is relevant it's really contextualizing everything automatically.
Okay, so workflowy is something that I decided to use it because anyone can go into and just start using it without logging in and doing
Yes,
stuff.
but that's the thing. You can do the same thing with trail marks.
Is it going to be as easy?
Easier.
Okay. Can I export the workflowy into trail
Yes,
marks?
well, if you can export it, I looked at it and I can certainly import it for you.
Okay, I know I can export it from
But
workflow.
I can import it if you want me to.
Okay, that would be nice.
That would be a very interesting experiment. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So that would be the first step, and I think that's doable. So what can you try to explain to me? And I'm so sorry that I'm so dense. But you know, if anyone's watching this video or trying to understand as well, I
No,
have.
they better not watch this video. We better have a rerun in a week's time. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so what can we start doing if this is in trail marks that we couldn't do with workflowy?
I mean, at the moment with workflow, you can you can you refer to somebody else's workflow documents?
I don't think so.
Now, this is something you could do. You could
Oh,
actually build an interpersonal knowledge network.
okay, so if I brought people on, they could
You
start.
would give them trail marks
Okay.
as a
Mhm.
sort of trial. You know,
Mhm.
it actually the business plan is that up to say 1,000 nodes, it's always going to be free, and as soon as you go beyond that, then you pay, $10 a year or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so
Mhm.
that's a very reasonable price.
Yeah, very
Uh,
reasonable.
and then you would have your you always have your own data. You own your data. You can export it in, and actually the whole this whole framework is all about, I want to be able to build a system which basically exports everything into JSON, which is one of the formats which hopefully will be supported forever, because it is designed not to ever change.
Okay.
JSON, JavaScript's object notation, you
Yeah.
may or may not know about this.
Mhm.
It had intentionally, Douglas Crockford, who invented it and built in every conceivable languages of support for it, built into JavaScript. JavaScript is built around it. He explicitly declared it so that it doesn't have version, because it never expects to change. It's like the ASCII code.
Okay.
Okay, the
Yes.
ASCII code once defined will never change, because then of course everything would break. Okay, so this idea of longevity and is built into the thing, because not people in knowledge work, they just ignore that aspect. But as the most important aspect, if I don't have access to, I mean, I shudder to think what's going to happen to my Google Docs of 10 years ago. Of course, I can turn it into trail mind graph, and then I will have it. But it changes, the format changes, so it won't be supported. Anyhow, coming back to the key point is that I really think that I could give you trail marks, and you could try to play what you wanted to do yourself, and basically become a first real user, and make anybody who wants to use it as part of that real user. How about that?
Okay. I'd be willing uh, to try it out and to see if we can get people to do it, because I really like I trust um, that you will get us closer to an interoperable future.
Yeah, that's the key. You're quite right. That for me is the most important thing.
And
Longevity and
just to
interoperability.
let you know,
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that people are gonna complain about it, and that you'll get a lot of feedback on things people don't like. So hopefully that will be good for you. And
No, that's exactly what I need. And first of all, you will have to tell me what you don't like, and I fix it. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
great.
really the aligned of purpose. Yes, yes,
Okay, so
yes.
we started with that. You start with your own knowledge graph, and then tell me what you think needs to happen, and what you discussed in the collective intelligence workflow. So first, someone makes their own knowledge graph, and
Yes.
then what has to
Then,
happen to
then
actually
what?
get into
Yeah, yeah.
something
What's happening is that, yeah, the next stage is that uh, I can also feel that next stage is that you create this kind of, like what I showed you, we didn't quite get, but basically it's the idea is that have a community administered server, or just anybody can run it actually themselves, a little server. Actually, I can do it even without a server, but let's make it with a little server because it's easier. You probably want that. And basically, at that point, they should be able to publish posts which are sort of extracts from their own trail marks, a little bit, little context,
Mhm.
you know, produce some articles, and then uh, let people search for things within that space, entire space. People will find it, and people start following each other. So you really create a sort of social network,
Okay.
a gossip network, if you like.
Okay.
So that would be the next level. My problem at the moment, I can definitely get you to the personal level, but
Mhm.
I really need some funding to get to the next stage. I could do it in a month, but I'm really looking for sponsors because
Okay.
otherwise I will have to get a job. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you need? What happens when it goes to the next level?
When you get to the next level, what you will have the nucleus of a social knowledge gossip network. So that really means that it's exactly like in LinkedIn. You know, you can connect people, you
Oh,
can uh, you can follow people, and all that stuff. Okay, but the big difference, two big differences. One, everybody owns their knowledge.
mhm,
Everybody knows when. You know, it's not a central system like LinkedIn keeps track of how many people read your thing.
mhm,
They have to come to you to get it, so that you know exactly who read it. And this may not be important, well, it is actually the most important thing, that out of all that interaction, everybody keeps an immutable record of these interactions if they want to. Okay,
okay.
that really means that it has huge implications. It's really like Ted Nelson's original vision of micropayment. Not that you don't have to make it as payment, but the point is that you know your reputation, you know how good that your article is because you actually got a record of people reading it and possibly commenting on it. And
Mhm,
of course, at that level, I mean, even with the personal thing, there is some social interaction in terms of using hypotheses.
mhm.
Obviously, so there's even the personal edition comes with some openness. But this is something which I really need to get back to hypothesis so that really good that integration in from their end that or just some or a link. You can put a link into your hypothesis annotation which actually teleports people to your context so they can actually just because they've seen an annotation that you put in,
Mhm.
they should be able to find the context where you use that annotation. Can you see the power of that?
No, I'm not getting it.
Okay. Suppose you wrote, and I tell you in familiar terms.
Okay.
Suppose uh, that You wrote a you wrote a you wrote a post on LinkedIn. Okay.
Okay.
Now, anybody who annotates anything on your page using it, and if he uses trail marks, okay, they can actually publish a link in that annotation, which enables you to see the context where they used your piece.
Okay.
Okay, so that really without that of course has the benefit of obviously whoever looked at your piece already knows you, but you don't know who is reading.
What?
You don't know who is reading. Well, through hypothesis, you can actually find out who annotated it.
Okay.
But that's all you can find out. You don't know what they done with it, and they may want you to know because that's the way knowledge can be connected.
Okay.
So you wrote about something that somebody, yes?
Say that again. So with hypothesis.
So you wrote something which, yeah, sorry, connection is broken.
Oh, okay. So you're saying with hypothesis that you can only see one step, and this allows you to go like a step further? Sorry.
Break. Sorry, it was the internet just gone. It's back now. So
Okay, so tell me one more time on
okay.
hypothesis what we can do right now.
Okay, right. Okay, I tell you that. Suppose it could be suppose you use trail marks to publish an article. Right? Actually, yes, you need to do that. Don't you publish an article in trail marks and on your own place, whatever, and somebody sees it and puts an annotation on one bit of your thing, and he likes it very much, and he says, "Why? That's exactly what I'm talking about in there." So then he uses your stuff, references your stuff in a given context, and in the annotation, it can put a link to their work. Okay. So it's not only showing that, yeah, here I am, Joe Blogs, I liked what you said, I got a brief comment, but actually can say, oh, well, by the way, I use this or something, I can show you something really, because I know what you're interested in, because I found something interesting in what you do. And they can say, well, actually, if you click on this link, you can see what I'm doing on this related topic.
Okay.
So that's how knowledge exchange is. So you don't have to say, of course, it could be in normal cases. I mean, in LinkedIn, what people do, they comment on your work and then put a link into one of their other posts. Okay. But the beauty of this arrangement is that you do that in the annotation, and you know that if they sort of teleport you into their world, you can actually explore that context independently, like a graph. Okay. Or it can be visualized in many other ways, but basically you don't you can follow the connections, you can explore. It doesn't just have to be a document. In fact, it may be too radical idea, but this is what Ted Nelson said 50 years ago. There are no all documents are virtual. They are kind of deeply rearrangeable of meaningful chunks. Okay, and workflow is going in that direction to some extent. But basically, you understand that the idea is that as Ted Nelson say, the problem is not with me. The problem is paper. The problem is when you want to write something, you really, for a narrative, you have to lay it out nicely, linearly, so it's easy to consume, whatever. But whatever it is really about is a much more complex thing. And this is just one of the myriad possible serialization of that context. You got to start somewhere. You got to tell a narrative so that people can follow what you do, what you say.
Mhm.
But most of the time, this is the real benefit of trail marks, is that because you don't just create text, linear text,
Mhm.
but any part of that linear text is behind the scenes is a node, is an identifiable chunk, meaningful chunk in your own system. That's how it's built up, or you basically can go from one to the other. And that really means means that it's easier to produce linear text, because then just rearranging existing bits. But at the same time, it's very easy to give people an overview of what you're talking about, because if you like, your text is, if you like, semantically marked up. You don't have to. This is the problem with knowledge graphs, that every little statement becomes a node, but that's just too much. Okay, it
Yes.
really gives you the flexibility that you only do this, make it explicit that there is something connected when it is crucial. Okay,
Mhm.
and the shape of that interconnected thing, which you can actually show. I don't know. Did you look at my Twitter page? You must have.
No.
No. Okay. Sorry. It's. I give you that. But I assume you did, but obviously, if you didn't, then you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. I need to go to my profile page and send it to you. Okay, there you are. Here's the chat. Yeah, I should put it up on LinkedIn, because I don't.
Okay. And
Did you get it?
yeah. So what should I be checking out? Oh gosh. Oh, I missed a whole bunch of that. Can you shoot? This is like because you you kind of came out. We weren't connected, so I paused the recording. Oh no, and this is.
Okay, no.
But I really wanted that because you were talking about your philosophy. So can we just do that again? So what?
Yeah. Let's do take one. Yeah, it will be better second time.
What I heard from the time binding, I haven't quite gotten yet.
Okay. Let's start again.
Okay.
So I think it really is the idea of you can call it intertriangularity, you can call it situatedness, and also we talk about, as I started, all knowledge is personal, in the sense that this idea of an objective knowledge is wrong, and the idea is that we have our tacit awareness, and through language and tools and everything, we're trying to communicate that. We want to understand, so that we can be understood. That's really, and that's the time binding bit.
Mm-hmm.
That okay, I may have the most beautiful ideas. I enjoy solving this problem. I've been enjoying my life last 35 years working on the same problem and growing knowledge bigger and bigger, and I'm really comfortable with the unknown. That the whole point of making the knowledge bigger is to know the things that you don't know. So that's the whole point of knowledge. But at the same time, your capabilities are not like that. the time binding. It's really civilization is all about, okay, we know a bit more. Oh, well, actually, as a result, we know more about more things that we don't know. We know that we don't know, but at the same time, we are capable of doing things that we couldn't do before. So that's really the whole civilization. Time binding is all about the language, symbolic knowledge is all about somehow being able to transmit from one generation to the next the
Okay.
lessons of all that, something that is usable in the future. So that's really the time binding bit. So,
I
but
mean,
but but
it sounds to me like what's important. Yeah, that is really important to transmit wisdom to the next generation.
yes, and
If your collective intelligence doesn't do that, it's not
yeah,
worth anything.
yeah. But the point is that where things do go wrong
Mhm.
is when you lose this situatedness and personal aspect of things, and you lose sight of this, then really eh, is 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 the alternatives, if you like. You have a conception of man, ourselves, what's the essence of us. That's what Korzybski was talking about. I say they learned it from Engelbart about this, that the idea that, the standard notion that, oh, we are just animals and a little bit of spark of God thrown in, and that's it. That's the wrong conception of who we are. And if you have the wrong conception of who you are, you end up with trouble. So this is the whole point of Engelbart. I'm all about is the importance of how you frame a problem, how you conceptualize things, because it very much determines the space of possible solutions or capabilities that you the way you do things. So that's why it's so important to knowledge is important at this sort of meta level, that you really need to know how the assumptions that you make, and you really need to be able to critical about it or understand it. So anyhow, that's the most important thing is the situatedness and personal, and that of course all this has to be somehow uh, in a way simplified or because that's another thing when you work, and I'm sure everybody knows this, that it may take a long journey to make something that you had been tacitly aware, but you didn't really could express it. Once you get to that level, it's so much simpler. You don't have to retrace every step. It's really the idea of phylogeny and ontogeny. So you got to be able to recapitulate, or in Lakatos terms, you should be able to do a rational reconstruction of what you understood. Not with all the what at the same time you do need to have that part. You do need to. That's my ideal of knowledge, is when you on the one hand you can articulate a coherent vision, but you should always be able to go back to the history, where the context, where the problem, where an understanding emerged. So you shouldn't lose that. And with the computer, we do have that capacity now, which we didn't really before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about the importance of the individual graph, can I just talk and see what I think you're saying and see if that's correct?
Yes, please do. Yes. Yeah.
So does that mean that it's important to look at, to have a knowledge repository that's kind of a collective knowledge repository, but then be able to go in and zoom in someone's personal graph so that you can
Yes.
see
And the full
what's
history. Yes, and the full history of how he's situated it, and that how did they actually got merged.
okay, so
That's really important.
knowledge graphs got merged.
Yes. The whole story of how consensus actually being reached, how we agreed to disagree, and all that stuff.
Okay.
That's the point, that you need to know. You
So
need to have this full history.
you're saying
Sorry.
in effect that it is not not as helpful to have a great knowledge repository if it's just a repository and you can't tell how things were put in it
Exactly,
and
exactly.
who put it in it and why.
Yes, and about how exactly you need to be. I mean, this is the I mean the whole concept of even databases.
Mhm.
The single version of truth is being created. This thing because 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, storage was scarce and expensive.
Mhm.
So you know that's why they invented 50 years ago what they call place-oriented programming. Uh,
Okay.
is basically that's when a database is. It's
Mhm.
basically saying uh, when you write into a database, you apply all the constraints and make sure that whatever the database contains and coherent, consistent,
Mhm.
and valid at the point of writing. You've got to resolve all these things because you cannot afford to maintain all the alternatives.
Mhm.
Okay, and so now things change. We do have we can have the full this is what Git is about. We
Mhm.
have a full history of how we got to a certain point. We can afford to keep that. And in fact, if you look at Atomic, which is a very good way of doing this, they basically say, well, uh, if you think about any fact, if you take the time when
Mhm.
it was valid and store it that way, then you can always go back to every state. And I mean, in terms of knowledge, what is important is that that when you realize, well, it's like when you realize, okay, this articulation is good. You should never overwrite. You know, it's like think about it when you write a paper. You
Mhm.
must have the versions. You must be able to go back to earlier versions and see how and especially in terms of collective intelligence or pooling of intelligence, you really need to know that yes, we made a decision that we go for this one instead of that, but you should keep that alternative around because it may be that you have to change your mind. You know, so that history and situatedness needs to be at least reproducible. I'm saying in a way, that's the other thing that Magath has is that you can always. This is really coming from cryptography. You can always travel in time, so you can always see how things got, and then you can go back and go in an alternative direction. If you, because basically all knowledge is a search. And you may think that I made a decision, I go on there, and then I might discover, well, actually, that was the wrong thing. And you need to be able to backtrack. That's a very important
Okay.
idea.
And you were also saying that sounded a lot um, like grassroots activism in terms of saying it is really important to um, empower the individual, to augment the individual
Yes.
and have the collective emerge from the augmentation. And
Yeah.
when you say augmentation, does that mean you kind of like almost like expand your knowledge
No,
or
yeah, but yeah, you need to be clear about this. The whole point of the augmentation today is all about you got this flood of information through the internet, social media, whatever. Uh, it really, this is what Memax is about. This is why hypothesis Memax is brilliant, because it basically says most of the time you see something on the internet, and it may be a week later that you realize, yes, there was something which is actually important for me.
mm-hmm.
And the idea that if I can just remember 2 words of this, I can get to that, and then so to the ability to 2 things, not only to keep track of and sort of put it in your stream, if you like, everything you thought worthy of your attention,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but you need to be able to find it, and also this is what Remax does now, and it's just such a joy, exactly like Engelbart had it in the way he described it, is that I know that I may not have time to connect these things to now, but I know that I have assurance that I will find it again. When my attention changes, when I'm focusing on a subject, I may, it's serendipity, yeah, I may find something that is relevant, but I'm not dealing with that, but I can put it away and I know that that I can get back to it. And the most important thing, once you got this, and as your attention changes, the order of things change. That's brilliant because it brings you to the focus to whatever you're dealing with. But the most important thing is that then when you create the connection, when you have the time to reflect and okay, now I'm working on this topic. When you create these connections, they are just so powerful. What it means is that two complex things, as soon as you create a connection, they become adjacent. Oh, I didn't mention the word adjacent. It's the all knowledge it's all about adjacency.
Mm-hmm.
It's like climbing a mountain and sort of and only once you reach the plateau, then you realize there is another one. Mm-hmm. This is, you know, that really is the knowledge is like that. You need to reach some level of understanding to see things, and it's really the really when I'm talking about augmentation, this is exactly what I'm about. It's all about better comprehension, faster comprehension, you know, and sense making. It's really giving you a tool to make sense of all that. Don't just let it go past. It's the same thing. I'm suffering from this. I really need to build a good tool for this, and I got the Hugh Crawford done this. He's got a system which I want to integrate, which is basically you can create a 6x minute long GIF of any YouTube video and then annotate it. It's so frustrating. I know I got this. So I either have my pencil, paper, or the thing, and I got to write that down. It may be just 2 words at the time. So because you know there's so many good things coming, and so you can go back to it. So that's what. So it's Memex like in the sense of having a single place where you put all these things. So with the knowledge that you can get back to it, and then work on the connections. And then of course the most important thing comes that after, you know, after years of working or months of working, you really come up with your terms of making sense of things. You know, your quality, your words for what's the significance of it. It's really the significance is the question, to bring out the significance in the data, and that's a uniquely human ability. Mm-hmm. No computer can ever do that. Is this power of selection? I'm sure you remember Bush was saying that. That's the real power. Is that intuition? The tacit. You know, you know what we're selecting. So I think that really is it's, you know, what is significant, and that structure, and that's the next level. I haven't been there yet because I really need individuals to build it. Alternative conceptualizations. The real task is, which in the semantic web world people struggle with that, is they call it ontology alignment. It's really the real challenge is when these, I got a conceptual, I got my own terms to organize you got yours, and when the real task is how you map those.
And that is a specialty of Marc-Antoine.
Yes. That and Jack. Yes.
And Jack.
But they know they do it in they try and I'm interested in that too. Is really trying to build analytical tools to again help you. The computer won't be able to do it because ultimately it doesn't really know what it is about, but it can very well, and even in my system it does. It can. I mean, that's the most beautiful thing. Is that I when I had it in the previous version, I had 3,000 nodes. Mm-hmm. I was really working on some subject, working on it, whatever. And it's a very trivial graph algorithmic thing to find out what is the most important concept here. Mm-hmm. You may have something in mind that's what, but what you actually have, this is what Jack is all about. Is the discovery. The brute force algorithmic exploration of the space you create. Mm-hmm. Can actually tell you things you didn't know. And at the same time, the whole point of this kind of augmentation, in one word, is to empower people to to think previously unthinkable thoughts. Yeah, I think that's what I would say. Yeah.
And so, if Microsoft has a knowledge augmentation tool, how is it different? Like, what would their philosophy be that's different?
Well, this is the beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
No big player will ever build it because it's not in their interest.
Yeah, no, it's not in their interest.
Well, what's in it for them? Empowering people, giving sovereignty. Look, if you give sovereignty to people over their data, why would they come back to you? Unless you produce something really valuable.
Okay, hang on just a second. I just have to respond
Yeah.
to someone. Okay, sorry about that. No, hang on just a second. Here, let me just pause the record. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, well, this is all very, oh no, shoot.
Well, actually, it was some 5 years ago I researched this, but I don't think it changed much since. Is that there are 1,500 commercial knowledge management tools on the market. They are sort of enterprise, 1,500 enterprise level, sort of big. And at the time, there were 5 or 6 personal knowledge management offerings. Sorry?
What are these personal ones?
Like the brain,
Okay.
Tinder, these kind of things. Brain is the best really of the lot. The brain, that Gyuri has been using for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I know Jerry's brain pretty well.
So, and that shows you, first of all, and all of them were very, very, very expensive. $200 plus nowadays, whatever. Now, clearly there isn't much money in there. Like the Memex people, for example, you probably know them. Hopefully, did you talk to the Memex guy, Sullivan, or what's his name? Anyhow, but you do know his views about stewardship and all that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know whether you agree with that or not, but the point is that it's quite clear that you can get when you go into the knowledge management business, personal knowledge management, the only way you can get by, first of all, you cannot play the game of VC thing where the whole there's a real conflict of interest. You cannot think that people will trust with their knowledge anybody. They won't. They just not that foolish. Okay, so that's why the central knowledge management systems get very little input because people. I'm not going to give you everything I know. I mean, that's my livelihood. So sorry.
I think there's like a feeling too, like am I going to be dependent upon this company who could go away, or they could,
Exactly, exactly. So, yeah. There are 110 reasons for that. But there is now, the point is that, and I knew that all along, the only, what you need to do in personal knowledge management, which is, as far as I'm concerned, without that, there will never be going to be collective intelligence. If you don't solve this problem, both of them wicked problems, if you don't have a good solution to augmenting human intellect individual, you will never get collective intelligence. And so the point is that it really needs to be done in a way which doesn't require VC money, which basically technology needs to be cheap, preferably zero. And that's where the whole local first philosophy comes in from, that the best API call is the one you never make. Now, big companies
what is
must, sorry?
the best API call is the one you never make? What is that?
Yes, because that's the fastest, you know. That requires the least resources. Now, if all your data is local, you don't need to maintain that. But of course, there is a catch. You as an enterprise or system, you need the control, okay? You need to know what's going on. You need to, so the happy medium is to let each individual do their own knowledge management and share only the bits that they want. So I'm not against enterprise. Don't get me wrong. You need enterprise. You know, for this civilization to flourish, you need to be able to build complex, huge value chains. So I'm not against that. What I'm saying is that, and even in the non-enterprise world, you need to pool wisdom. You know, you need to share. You need to find forums to share and be so centrals. So it's really yin yang. You know, you really need a balance. You need both. But for the last 50 years, personal knowledge management had no chance because it was just too expensive to produce. With today's technology and with all the technologies now at the point that it can be done. You know, I can deliver capabilities single-handed, at least to start with, and I don't need a server farm.
Okay.
You know.
So
yeah.
Can I kind of rephrase things how I think?
Yes.
That anytime you have VC money delivering a knowledge augmentation solution, there's something about it that's not going to be truly.
Well, you need as Oliver would put it, you need a 10x return. Hello.
I'm here.
It, yes.
Okay. So if there's a knowledge augmentation tool with VC funding, it's basically not going to be truly looking out for the individual.
Yes, that there is a conflict of interest there. You know, you need to give them privacy, okay? But if you give them that, you know, you don't have the control. You know, they never gave you all there, so they don't have to come back to you. They can just go anywhere else. You know, that's really the conflict. And but the real problem with that is the reason why tinkerability was killed 40 years ago. There were a host of solutions like HyperCard. What's in it for a big corporation if users can satisfy their own needs? What's in it for them? Nothing. Let's make it ever more complex so that we have the job. You know, that's the whole point. If you give you a tool which enables you to co-evolve and extend the capabilities that I give you to fit your own requirements, then we don't need expensive consultant, do we? You know, you know, that there's a conflict there as well. I mean, there is something called low code movement, okay?
Mhm.
They give you it's really, they give you the convenience and the power of, you don't need to do much. You can actually, you can assemble complex solutions, but the catch is, but you tied to me. You cannot cut I mean, this is why over the last 40 years, people, many times, you had systems which were joy to develop in. But again, nobody went with it, or if they did, they just be turned off any day. Now, if your livelihood, if it depends on a platform or a technology that is controlled, you can bet your bottom dollar that it will disappear. And you know, it may have been very, 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 very good to develop. I mean, there was, what was the, I forgot now. Well, we think about it. Flash was developed. It was really powerful. And one day they just turned it off. So
Right.
all your investment in that just gone.
Well, I think Adobe bought.
Adobe, yes. Yeah. What was that system? Adobe had a beautiful one. Forget it now. It was 10 years ago. Anyhow, they switched it off. They had that was really easy. You know, you could. Oh, today we do the same thing. You know, you can put together a little application very easily, but it really is not yours. So my vision is really to, once you separate, once you have a universal data model, and you have uh, uniform, coherent way of writing applications, and they are born interoperable and born extensible by users, then of course you lost control. But that's what we need for knowledge management, because remember the point about, I started at the beginning, the point about knowledge is the way we need to manage it itself changes with the knowledge, what we accumulate, the nature of the knowledge. No, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was eating potatoes. What did you just say?
What I said is that it's not only knowledge itself or articulation is expanding,
Mm-hmm.
but the way we need to deal with it expands. The nature of the thing, the way we need to, because it depends on what it is about. It depends on on uh, on the domain or the situation, what you need to deal with it. And the other thing is that even if you have something which codifies knowledge in some certain way, that's the beauty of the graph. You may have created, this is a really everyday experience, is that you may have created a connection from one thing to the other. At that point, you didn't care about what's the connection going the other way around, but you created it, okay? And you may find situation, you know that it is there, you may not have named it, you may not have cared about it, but in another context, you might find that that's an important thing and use that. So this flexibility of using, there is a level of universality, but it's really my favorite is it's ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it. That's the question. So as far as I'm concerned, this is what Engelbart also maintained, that it's not only, you don't just want to convey knowledge and information or data, you want to be flexible in of what of the use you make with it, what you do with it, and you know, you may have created a information repository or information with something in mind, but actually it may be that it used for it, some parts of it can be reused in different ways, and you do need the flexibility of articulating that, what we're going to do with this new kind of knowledge we just created, because that's another thing. If we really got to this threshold, we will be creating things which never existed before. And they, you know, that's the adjacency idea, that once you got that, then you're, oh gosh, I could do so much with it, but I need the way to articulate that as well. Yeah.
So interoperability and these tools, if they actually empower us like they should, we'll be able to make things that we cannot make today.
Well, not only that we can make things that we cannot make today. It's too difficult, too hard, too expensive to do. But it's with the interoperability and the sort of user extensibility, the tinkerability together, what it really empowers everybody.
It empowers what?
Empowers every participant.
Okay.
Because you know what you want to do with it. You don't have to try to explain to somebody else. You can just do it yourself because you are the best position to articulate what you need.
Again, let me so this way of doing it, it's not just that you have new powers as a group, but it's inclusive of people without being too, like, you might have a corporation today with a lot of money that can have these exceptional collective intelligence powers, but they're not really accessible to someone who doesn't have the money, is not part of that, and they don't get to share in any of the rewards, I guess. Is that kind of what you're saying? Or are you saying something totally different?
No. I'm saying that because of the architecture and the way it is put together, every participant will be able to. It's classic. The more you put in, the more you are able to take out. And this is why it is important that you own your contributions.
Yeah.
That's why it's important because that will always within this scheme of things, it will be always be retraceable to you that it was your contribution. So
Okay.
but just one okay. This whole vision is all about improvement process, and it's all about the idea that I envisage a situation where these things sort of people start working this and people start pooling, and company will realize that they have to change to give more power to because they get more back. So the old model, the old centralization, they will in my book they will willingly relax it because they realize that, okay, I may be able to control it, but I got nothing compared to a situation where I have an equitable share of control. I'm relinquishing some level of control, but in exchange I get real value. So that shift is actually needed everywhere, not just in knowledge management. This shift. So
well, it seems like today we don't have control, and we don't have we're not included in the value.
No, yes, some of it is, but yes, that's it. We don't, and that's intentional. Yeah.
And really, kind of ironically, we can use things like IPFS, which is basically based on a single source of truth, to create a system where we can
yes, the point about it, yeah, you're quite right. It's immutability. Okay. But really, I don't want to over you with the technical thing. But yes, it is miraculous.
But I mean, it is kind of ironic that the blockchain, which it is based on we need a single source of truth, is making it possible to have to build systems that.
Yes, because it's a single source of truth about how a piece of information was created, who created it. It's not about the content.
Okay.
So that's a big difference. It's the means of storing, and this is the real power comes from the idea of eventual consistency, or it's called transitional modeling. Just let me finish. This is the key. It's a huge thing that the blockchain, or not, it's the cryptography and everything, enables us to and NoSQL and all this enables us to get to a place where in the old days you had to resolve all ambiguities and all imprecisions at the point you written down the record, okay, when you updated the database, to a place where okay, you do your bit, you do bit, and it will be eventually consistent. Okay, that's exactly what we need. We really need that flexibility. It's really lessing, let each man speak what he deems to be truth, and let truth itself be condemned unto God. So that's the idea, that you just do your own thing and trust the universe that eventually these connections will be made or resolved, or at least we know where we are. That's the most important thing. And just one idea on that, which is really important, is that the whole technology is, when you do, I don't know whether you do programming, you did, I think, you are not a gentleman. You never say what you mean and never mean what you say. When you write in a programming language, you basically doing a pun, that something that describes something can be interpreted by the computer to accomplish that. But the price you pay is lying all the time. You don't really write down what you mean. You write down something that in a roundabout way, somehow over lots of layers and whatever, does what you had in mind, but there's nothing to do with it. Now, this whole idea is all about getting to the point. Well, let's just be clear about what we want, and let's build this. Let's have a system where it means what you mean, and it means what you say. So, and you can actually say what you mean. That's where I'm coming back to this whole intellectual manageability thing, where we started, the idea that you really need to think about the user's sort of mental model. Got to give them a chance. That's why most knowledge management systems fall down flat on their face. Hopefully mine won't. Is that the sheer complexity of what they have, and this comes back to the single source of truth, sheer complexity of what you need to be able to do. And that's what this is really the idea of knowledge representation. Okay, we got some ways of representing knowledge which gives us certain powers of inference and all that stuff. But the price we pay is that we force the human to articulate in ways which are not natural. Okay?
Sorry? I'm such a bad programmer.
Yeah. And my ideal is to give them a way where it's easy to say what they, and let me work out on that. Let the system be clever enough to turn it into something that it can do something. And it turns out it's not a difficult thing at all.
So we want the network to be smarter.
Well, eventually, it's not that we want. That's the whole point. And the other point is that once each individual user is a hub to its own, is a hub itself, the network effect, the benefit of the network company, network effect, is not realized at the center for Google or Facebook, but each individual, to the extent that it is a hub, gets benefit. That's a real change.
Okay. I'm sure it is.
And of course, then you will have intermediate communities or improvement communities or communities of interest who will pool, who are connected to people who care about the thing that they care about. That's the whole Marc-Antoine and all this sort of hyper knowledge federation idea. You do need those. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's getting dark. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You're right. We've been on the phone, or we've been on Zoom for so long.
Yes. I'm sorry to have taken so long, because you will have so much work to do with this. It should have been a bit.
I will. You're right. You're totally right.
Yes. Every minute extra is an extra minute extra to work. Yeah. I hope it was all valuable.
Yeah, so my general impression is to my instinct with you is to trust you because I can tell that you've spent so much time thinking about this and have really, really deep thoughts and have really, taken the time to understand all of this. And I think we need a whole team to help you interpret what you're saying into, things that are simple enough for people to grasp and to understand. And I think that there's probably needs to happen through pictures and
Yes, 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 yes. And I think working software may help as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, somewhat polished and somewhat usable. Yes.
Okay.
But the thing that would help most if I can get you over the initial hurdle of actually doing something, then you are much better. This is the thing. This is why uh, it's much more difficult for me to be articulate about it, what I'm doing, than somebody who actually coming from the outside. And if they did manage to get it, then they would have a chance of actually saying, "Wow, yeah, that's what it is." Yeah.
Well, let me see what I can do to take this 3-hour meeting and at least pull some insights so we can, so for the next person, they don't have to go through all of this to.
Yes, no, that's it. That's it. It's impossible. And
We'll keep getting it like.
and whatever you come up, if you send it to me, I will try to turn it into a mind graph and add the resources that I have to back all that discussion up.
Okay.
I think that would be a nice way of doing it. Yes.
Yeah.
That should get you involved. Yes, and me as well. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for spending so much time explaining what you're doing. And
well, thank you very much for sorry.
It's really great, important work that you're doing.
Yeah.
Now,
but I mean, this is the time. Really, this is why I started. Connecting, because ultimately it all depends on people. This not if you don't engage, and nothing happens. Yeah.
So is it a little frustrating for you to be doing such important work and trying to make people understand that?
Well, it is frustrating to the point that people who are sort of card carrying, sort of collective intelligence people, they don't just say, okay, I see what you mean, I understand, but it's relevant. I mean, not quite true, because Windsurf sponsored 2 months. Mark Antoine really tried to help me for a long time. It was working together, but really, money is running out, so that's a problem. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much, and you have a great evening.
Yes, and let you know as soon as you send me some stuff, I turn it into trademarks, mind graph, and come back to you with that.
Okay.
Hopefully by that time I make it so that you can actually use it. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Bye.
Right. Thank you very much, and please send me the stuff, yes, or link or whatever.
Okay. It will take me a few days, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's fine. That's of course. Oh, by the way, there is a call tonight on the Dig Life. They have an open day every Monday. I probably want to talk to them. I just wanted to tell you that I'm thinking of going there, just in case if you wanted to join them.